Hello and welcome to My Finance Teacher. Today I want to share with you my views on possible moves in the US dollar and gold. And I would like to start with the US dollar first. So, as you see, US dollar has been sliding a little bit down over the last week or a couple of weeks. But I think soon we should see some sort of a bounce up in the dollar, probably from the area somewhere around at 96 or so, all the way possibly up to 97.5. That bounce up might actually break this recent high at about 97.6. And that I think will depend on what's going to happen on the 19th of December. Of course, there will be an FOMC meeting on the 19th of December. And for now, the futures market shows that there is about 73% chance of a rate hike on that day. And if we look at what's been happening over the last several weeks, about a month ago, the markets thought that the chance of a rate hike was nearly 76%. And about a week ago, the markets thought that the chance of a rate hike was over 84%, whereas this probability now declined to about 73%. With weakness in the stock markets, there might be a chance Fed might back down. So in the dollar, I think dollar is going to bounce up from this 50-day moving average or somewhere about there over the next week or couple of weeks. And the question will be whether it's going to break above the recent high or not. And that I think will depend on the Fed's talk on the 19th of December, how dovish or how hawkish that talk is going to be. However, even if dollar breaks to a higher high over the next couple of weeks or so, I don't think it's going to go anywhere far, because this cycle has been going on for nearly 3 months already, and I think we are near the top of the cycle, if we haven't topped already, in the middle of November. So we're in the sort of mid-range of this cycle where we're going to observe some volatility before the declining phase starts. But generally, these cycles last for, well, about half a year or so. So in another several weeks, we will be due for a declining phase in the US dollar. That's one of the reasons why I don't really expect dollar to be too strong over the next several weeks. Besides that, the 90-day ceasefire in the trade war between US and China might actually put some pressure on the US dollar as that 90-day deadline approaches. So that will actually nicely coincide with the declining phase in the US dollar over the next couple of months. And now moving on to gold. The current cycle so far has been going on for about 4 months. The previous one has lasted for about 8 months, which was unusually long. Usually these cycles again last for about half a year or so, so one might say that there is not that much time left within this cycle for gold before it will be due for a declining phase of its cycle. Nevertheless, I think for now gold is still relatively strong, and there are a couple of reasons why I think so. Firstly, if I compare this gold chart to the chart of US dollar, the interesting thing is, compared to the middle of August, the US dollar made a higher high in the middle of November, whereas compared to the middle of August, gold has not made a lower low. Gold has made a slightly higher high. So that is one of the indicators of relative strength in gold at the moment. Besides that, gold has usually been relatively strong at the beginning of the year. So what might happen is, even though this intermediate cycle in gold has already been going on for 4 months, and there might not be that much time left until we enter a declining phase in this cycle, this cycle might actually give us some sort of a high quite late in the cycle, That would coincide with the general behavior of gold over the last several years of some sort of strength in the beginning of the year and into the Chinese New Year. And probably just after the Chinese New Year, we might see some sort of a decline coinciding with relatively short declining phase of this current cycle in gold. Although I said gold looks relatively strong now, I don't think these arrows are actually that right. Let me try to do them again. We might have something like this. Some relative strength in gold at the moment and possibly lasting for another week or so. After that, there might be some weakness in gold, and that's partly because it might be sort of bouncing in this channel that it has been in since mid-August. And that bouncing within the channel sort of forecasts some sort of a weakness in gold, bringing it back towards the lower part of that channel. Gold continues to strengthen over the next several days. RSI is going to come closer to overbought territory, and it will be within the timing of the shorter daily cycles for gold to enter its short-term declining phase. That would actually give us relatively neat short-term or daily cycles in gold that generally last for about a month and a half, 2 months, 2.5 months. And after some sort of a dip, probably into second half of December, we might have another daily cycle in gold, possibly bringing the price closer to 1300. That's been a strong resistance and support zone for quite a while already. And that daily cycle might finish with an intermediate decline as well as the daily decline sometime after the Chinese New Year. So this is my general outlook for gold at the moment over the next, a couple of months. And as one of the viewers commented, this actually is somewhat different from what I've been expecting in the past. Of course, as a trader, you do have to change your expectations sometimes depending on what happens to the market. And recent strength in gold that broke the recent high of end of October tells me that there is a higher likelihood that gold is not going to break to a lower low. In the past, I have mentioned that there was a decent chance that due to the weakness of the intermediate cycle, gold might actually dip into a lower low. Now it doesn't really look that way because we've seen a higher high in gold, and cycle might actually give us an eventual high sometime close to the end of the cycle, which means there isn't going to be that much time for the declining phase, which means price might not drop low enough to give us a lower low. Again, this is my normal expectation for gold price. However, I think it all depends on what's going to happen on the 19th of December. If by any chance, unexpectedly, the rate hike is postponed, cancelled, or Fed is talking really dovish, or there is something again happening to the stock markets that makes a Fed very dovish, then of course we might see much higher prices in gold much sooner. But I don't think it's very likely. Let me know, what do you guys think about the US dollar and gold? Personally, I still hold GDX, which I entered at about 20.4, and at the moment GDX is at about 20.4, so I'm breaking even at the moment. And for now, I plan to keep holding GDX until probably February. But of course, if plans change, I will let you know. And remember, this is not investment advice. I am just sharing with you guys my views on the markets. And you guys, share your views in the comments, hit the like button, and have a nice day.